So you went to your local card shop and you saw a pack of cards that had a piece of art depicting a sexy samurai, and you wondered to yourself, now what is this? And why did it turn me on? Well, here's your answer and so much more. But first, let's talk about what Touken Ranbu is. Touken Ranbu is a game that is popular in Japan. In the game, you take on the role of a sage who travels back in time to defeat the forces of evil who are trying to change the course of history. Part of your powers as a sage is that you can take historically famous swords and bring them to life as Touken Danshi and have them fight for you. What does this bring to Vanguard, you might be asking? Well, with its initial release in 2015, Touken Ranbu brought with it two new keywords. Homare, which literally translates to honor, is a once per turn ability with a powerful effect. Homare is a super unique skill, as if you pay the cost for a Homare skill, you cannot use any other Homare effects for the rest of the turn. And then the second keyword, Shiken Isatsu, literally translates to certain kill of the true sword, is a passive skill that is active when your damage is at 3 or more, kind of like a cheaper limit break in that way. Then following up with its second set in 2016, or 2017 if you lived in the US, it added another new keyword to the game, Nito Kaigan. This ability only activates whenever a Touken Danshi of the Wakizashi type boosts a Touken Danshi of the Uchigatana type. Super unique in that way, but both effects would be activated at the same time, so it's kind of like a nice little tag team attack. These keywords added a unique twist to the card game, taking advantage of certain card archetypes, much like Heroes and V Premium. In 2017, Bushiroad released a deck set for Touken Ranbu called Touken Ranbu Hanamaru, which was one of the anime adaptations of the game. Currently, the deck set is only available in Japanese, but the deck set added 36 unique cards to Touken Ranbu's roster of already powerful cards. Now, following a long hiatus from the game, skipping VME format entirely, 2022, Touken Ranbu had released a whole new set for Overdress. This set introduced much needed new triggers, as well as a ton of new and some familiar strategies for the clan. So now you might be asking, what can I expect strategy-wise from Touken Ranbu? Well, there's so many strategies that Touken Ranbu brings to the game that it makes it one of the most diverse clans in the game. From the retire all of your rear guards aspect of Kagero to the hey, let me restand all of my rear guards aspect of Aquaforce, you will find a strategy that you enjoy in Touken Ranbu. When Overdress was announced, the 5 ride lines that they introduced seemed to have a familiar spin on them. For example, Hachisuka Kotetsu was a very reminiscent ride line of Altmile / Royal Paladin, as the deck wanted the rear guards to be filled and also gave a bonus for doing so. Hachisuka also lets the back row rear guards boost despite of grade for doing so. Kasen Kanesada is very reminiscent of a Dimension Police deck, whereas Kasen, when he reaches a threshold of a certain amount of power, he gets the ability to guard restrict the opponent. Kashu Kiyomizu, one of the ride lines from the Trial deck, is a very reminiscent deck of Oracle Think Tank, as it likes to play around with the top card of the deck, whether it puts it on the bottom or draws it entirely. Mutsu no Kami Yoshiyuki is very reminiscent of Kagero and Narukami, where retiring the opponent's rearguard is crucial to gain advantage, and in the form of a power boost as well. And last but not least, Yaman Bagiri Kunihiro is a very reminiscent deck of Gold Paladin, as the deck is known for superior calling to the open rearguard circles after attacking with the Vanguard. Watch out for videos soon, as I will go over each of these ride lines and give examples of decks and how they compete in the current game. Coming along with the support in 2022, there are some very unique cards in this clan that are worth mentioning. For instance, Kogara Sumaru has an ability where, when your over trigger would be removed by its trigger effect, you can actually put it into your hand instead. A very unique ability, as it's the only card to this day that has that, but it is a super handy effect altogether, as it will literally double the use you get out of your over trigger, which is super handy considering that the over trigger itself is an order card. The order card, when revealed during a drive check, gives all of your units an extra critical, but when it's played as an order, you choose a Vanguard and give it +1 crit. And if you have 5 or more damage, all of your units get 10,000 power. Super useful card, despite the fact that we don't get that 50k shield. However, you must admit that is a pretty powerful card, considering that you can combo it with Kogara Sumaru to add it back to your hand after you trigger it or after it gets triggered off a damage check. Manayoshi Sadamune is the next card we're going to talk about, and its super unique ability of, in the back row rearguard circle, when this unit's power would increase by your trigger effect, double the value of the increase instead. This unit's ability is super unique, as its power increase still applies during battle, meaning that 2 triggers to pass suddenly becomes 1 trigger to pass, and that can really make a difference when you only get 2 chances to get triggers to begin with. And the last card we're going to mention for now is Udenta Mitsuya, and his ability of, when he's on the rearguard circle, if his attack hits, if you Persona Road this turn, counterblast 1 and choose 1 card in your damage zone and heal it. Obviously, being able to heal a card is great, however, coming with the cost of having to Persona Ride and having his attack hit is super hard to hit every single time, but when it does hit, it's a beautiful way to get that extra heal when you need it. Another great translation from web game to the card game is the relationships, the lore, and the skills of the Tokendanshi. Some of my favorite examples include Kashu and Yamato no Kami. Kashu and Yamato no Kami have a close relationship, getting on each other's nerves but ultimately are still best friends. For this reason, the Touken Ranbu community lovingly refers to Yamato no Kami as Peanut. Get it? Cashew? Peanut? Cashew? Peanut? No? Okay. Anyways, the next example is Tarutachi and Jirotachi. Jirotachi sees Tarutachi as a senior/mentor and lovingly refers to him as Big Bro. So seeing the bonuses each card gets from being present on the field is a perfect representation of the relationship. Not to mention, the one Legion duo that the clan has is Jirotachi and Tarutachi. And the last one for now is Iwatushi. True to the Naginata mechanic in the game, Iwatushi's ability to attack all of the units was carried over very well and plays into the ultimate strategy of Touken Ranbu very excellently. So now you're thinking to yourself, okay Chaos, I get it, I kind of want to play the deck now, but I'm kind of lost on where to start. What should I play? Well, depending on each ride line you choose, that can affect ultimately what you put in your deck. However, there is a list of cards that are good for pretty much all of the decks. The first example we have is Mikazuki Munechika, and he has a lot to unpack, but let's go over it really quickly. So once per turn when he attacks, he performs all of the following according to the number of cards in your damage zone. If you have 3 or more, he gets 5,000 power during this turn. If you have 4 or more, you look at the top card of your deck and you can put it on the top or the bottom. And if you have 5 or more, you can counterblast 1 and soul blast 1 and stand him back up. You get to do all of those effects if you have 5 or more damage. And obviously, that's a lot to unpack, and there's so many situations where it can be handy, but being able to multi-attack is always great, and being able to stack the outcome of your trigger checks is also an excellent way to get ahead of your opponent. Shoku Daikiri Mitsutada is the next one we're going to talk about, and his ability states that when he's placed on the rearguard circle from hand, if your opponent is grade 3 or greater, you counterblast 1 and all of your front row units get plus 5,000 power. And additionally, rearguard circle effect, whenever he attacks and it hits a Vanguard, you can soul blast 1 and choose an opponent's front row rearguard and retire it. Having a pseudo front trigger on place is pretty good, especially for decks that are more about the number of attacks rather than the power of them. Another card worth mentioning is Hakusan Yoshimitsu, which of course is the good sentinel effect from Overdress of only having to discard if you have 2 or more cards in hand. Definitely a 4 of. And the last card we'll bring up is Manayoshi Sadamune. We've already went over his ability, but as we stated already, that being able to make a 2-pass into a 1-pass is a super duper handy skill and can be included in all of the decks. So what has Touken Ranbu brought to the table in the competitive scene, you might be asking? Well, Touken Ranbu, though not a super popular clan by any means, actually won 2017's World Grand Prix in Japan and actually placed second place in the World Grand Prix finals. And this deck list here is actually the deck list that won. Different Fight has already gone over this deck in kind of a close way, but if you guys would like me to analyze the deck and see what can be improved on now that we have the overdress set, by all means, let me know in the comments below. Stay tuned and look out for more videos and in-depth articles for each of the different ride lines, as well as a deck profile for a premium format deck as well. Anyways, guys, stay tuned and we'll see you guys later. Peace out.